Hello, 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 hello. It stopped just in time.
Yeah, that was quite perfect timing.
I've never really paid attention to the emergency broadcast thing, but it played an A note for 5.5 minutes. It's just forever. Super annoying. Oh man, how's it going? We did not have the countdown because I think the issues we were having on Saturday with the whole system just giving us the finger and crashing was essentially this little timer app that I'm using. So I'm gonna try and do it without it. We'll figure.
That's so weird. One little thing like that.
That's always one little thing.
Always.
It's just like forgetting to plug yourself in, or is one how it goes. Cool. So today, now that the annoying noise is gone, we're gonna be working on. Well, here you were talking about things that were feeling good and things that weren't.
Yeah, so I feel like the rhythm and counting through it is easier for me. Practicing last night, I was like watching TV and I wasn't even doing notes, just like practicing the rhythm. So that was fun. And switching between I feel like memorizing more chords and things like that, so I don't have to look them up when I'm trying to play a song, but that'll come. But I was hoping to go over tablature and more that kind of thing today.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah. So just real quick, I guess I should say something. Nothing wrong with doing what you did when you're like hanging out watching TV. Don't do it if it's something that requires a lot of attention, obviously, because then it's just a distraction, or you'll hear like a rhythm of a commercial or something like that, and that'll get stuck in your head. But yeah, if you're doing that, or like little finger workouts where it doesn't really require a ton of concentration, it's great to do it like that, right?
Yeah.
Keeps it a little bit more. I don't want to pay attention to this little thing over and over again, you know. Cool. So let's. The other thing I was gonna say is you don't really have to worry about. I think having everything memorized. I feel like there's been very few students that really benefited from sitting down and trying to memorize stuff. And I use this example with students all the time, but like my music theory class in college was 40 something people to begin with. I tested out of the first one because that was just like basic notes or whatever. I've been playing for a while, but then there were 4 semesters of it. So like say 44, 45 people, something like that. The last class had like 4 people total. Because the people that there were some really, really good musicians, but they had to like drop out for various reasons because they weren't applying it. You know, they were trying to be like book smart or whatever. So nothing wrong with cheat sheets. You know, you'll like I said, you'll memorize it better by having stuff in front of you.
All right.
So, and the other thing too that is a good idea is to I think we've talked about this maybe the first session, but try and find similarities. Most with what we've been talking about so far. So let me just pull these up. But like these open position chords, a lot of times there's very little difference. If you look at like A and A minor, the only difference between a major or a minor chord is one note. That note might happen a couple times in the chord, but it's a lot of times with these open position shapes like what we're using here, it's literally just to make it minor, you lower one of the notes. Like you can see the A right there, right? Or on the D chord, this second fret that's up here goes down, to the first fret. E minor, you got your finger on, and then it goes down to the open, right? So then you don't even have to have your finger on there. Doesn't always work super nice like that, but it's it does happen. The other thing that's good to look at is like if we look at this E minor chord, right? There's only those 2 fingers. Things like E minor 7, it's just adding notes to that. So it can go the other way as well, right? Where you add it rather than subtract notes. And there are dozens of ways of doing this. So like the A minor 7 we have right here, we change into a more pleasant sound. How about that? Coil spank. Much better. So if we're looking at like that A minor 7, you could play it like this. A lot of times people will actually play the A minor chord without the ring finger. That one's a little bit more cowboyish, I think. Or something like if you think Stairway to Heaven, they would play the A minor 7 with their pinky there. So it's all about like what you want and what fits the song. I might have mentioned this, I might not have. Who really cares? I'll say it again. These chords on the bottom of this sheet that we've been using are a little bit more modern. So if you were playing some old school bluegrass, country, blues, whatever, more of like, I think I might have used Johnny Cash as the example. These chords tend to work a little bit better for that sort of sound.
Gotcha.
These work a lot better in more modern things because you have those notes consistent. It just makes it a little bit easier. So, okay, so I think we should warm up with these a bit and then get into the tablature using them. Okay, so let's just do a little bit of a warm up. Which chords would you like to pay attention to? The top ones or the bottom?
Those are more modern.
Okay. So let's go ahead and you can choose. Do 4. Yeah, we're gonna make it a little longer. I'm gonna push you.
All right. So, of course, let's do the C, 9, and G.
In that order? It doesn't matter. I'm just clarifying. Okay.
And then the D sus for F sharp.
Okay.
To GB.
Nice.
I don't know.
No, that's fine. None of the ones on the bottom will sound bad. That chord is bad. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, none of them will sound like they don't belong. But what will happen, I mean, regardless of if you're in a key or not, there will be some that you'll gravitate towards more. You know, like some chord progressions to me just sound way too damn cheesy. You know, and then some of them, I don't know, much more pleasant to my ears.
I gotcha.
Like my students say, right? I prefer the creepy and sad and all that stuff to the overly happy. But teach their own. So the one thing I was gonna say, just as a general, I guess, tip, like I said, this is gonna sound good, but when you listen to it, having those slash chords, they feel very transitional.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? So like if we have this, let me play it. So if I did C at 9, G, D sus 4 slash F sharp, and then the G slash B.
And it needs to go down one more.
But here's the thing. You can hear it pulling you somewhere, right? Mm-hmm. But if we look at the G slash B, we're on that second fret with our low note, which is what's making it the slash. And that's bringing us back to the repeat. So that G slash B at the end, pretty tight. Pretty tight. Yeah, so you have... You see, when you have the two slashes in a row, slash chords in a row, it makes it a little bit more tense for longer. So it makes the fancy word is function. There's, there's 2 words to bring up. You've got quality, and quality is literally just referring to what type of chord it is. Is it major? Is it minor? Is it a 7th? Is it a 9? Whatever. And then I just lost my train of thought. There were 2 things. One of them was function. And so function is like what it feels like it's doing, you know. So if I play a major scale and I stop on note 7, it's gonna bug you until I finish it, you know. Right. So that leading tone note its function is to help pull you back. So the reason I was bringing this up is, like I said, nothing's going to sound bad, but when you hit that D sus 4 slash F sharp, it almost feels like it's pulling you more to the 3rd fret with the G, 2nd fret with the slash F sharp, maybe the E minor 7. So see how that... And so if you're the whole reason I'm bringing this up is if you're coming up with something, don't necessarily throw it away if you don't like it. You know, there's going to be something that you can tweak, and that's a lot better to try. Like, I see so many people throw away really, really badass ideas, but there's like one part that was lame.
Gotcha.
Right? So it's like 10% needed to be fixed, and it would have been awesome. So just try and think about, what does it feel like it's doing? What is it? Does it feel like it should? And you don't have to know necessarily, right? Like, after you have some experience with it, you'll know. Oh, it's supposed to go to this chord, or in my head I'm hearing this note or whatever. But for right now, you might just be kind of surface level and say, oh, it feels like it needs to be higher or lower, or I don't know. There's a lot of weird words for describing music, right? Bubbly. Or I don't know. There's all sizzly, or
you use crunchy a lot.
Crunchy. Yeah, crunch is actually a term that's really common for amps. So a lot of times on an amp, you'll have like, you know, a clean channel. It's always the G string. So you can have like this kind of clean sound. The crunch is like a little bit of distortion. Kind of like more classic rockish or whatever. And then if you have like the lead channel, or what, you know, you'd use more for like metal, you know, like that kind of heavier sound. So, but yeah, most music terms are stupid. Warm, cold, brittle, sharp, flamboyant. I don't know. Like, it could be anything.
It could be.
I've heard all kinds of things doing studio work where people like those guys when I was writing the kids' songs, and they kept telling me I was too Russian. I don't know what that means, but I fixed it, and it was less Russian eventually, and they were happy, and I was paid. So, okay, so do you feel like you want to start with just 2 chords and make it a little bit easier, or do you feel like you want to do the 4?
No, we'll do the 4 because I like the way it repeats.
Repeated? Sure.
But I remember which order I said it in.
C. I'm just gonna abbreviate them because I'm lazy. C, G, D sus4 / F sharp, and G / B. Oh, one thing real quick, sorry, I just keep rambling, but one other thing I was going to say is if you like the sound of the end, like you just said, and how it repeats, but you're looking for something a little bit less tense on that / F sharp chord, just do the regular D sus4, because then it doesn't have that sort of function, right? So if we have, here's original, right, here's the, without the slash on the / F sharp. Whichever one you like better. What?
You just like went through it so fast.
Oh, I mean, the muscle memory gets like.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no big deal after a little while. You've already got it. I think the thing for you is you second guess yourself. You're like a lot of people. If Jamie were on here, I'd be telling her, because way too hard, and then it's like I said, you're second guessing it, so you're playing it right. You know what chord shape you're supposed to play. You're already doing it, but then you're like, ooh, is it right? And then you check the page, then you check your pick, you check your finger on the chord, right?
Yeah.
It's too much extra stuff. So, and that's why I say it's definitely good to practice for perfection, but it's also good just to go for it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you jack something up, you just keep playing, right? So whatever strumming, if you just want to hit it 4 times, that's cool. If you want to make if you have that pattern that we were talking about with the tie in your head and you want to do that, whatever floats your boat. But I want you to try and go through those chords and just keep it consistent, just to get that hand warmed up, so we can switch to focusing more on the tablature and what we're going to do with the picking hand.
Gotcha.
Okay?
All right.
So we're going to keep that chord progression kind of as a consistent for our examples.
All right.
All right, so go ahead and do that a few times.
What did I say?
Then you went from that C to the G, and then whichever D version you wanted to do, whichever you like better. You originally said the / F sharp, and then the G / B at the end. Try them both. I mean, see which do you like the sound of better. And sometimes, like, if you hear me play it, it's different than if you're playing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so sometimes, you know, your guitar being an acoustic electric, like, it just feels different. So see what you like.
Right?
Yeah.
It sounds so different coming from yours.
We should get you one of those Tonewood amps.
Sure.
Sound good?
Okay.
Yeah, those Tonewood amps are really cool. Those are those magnet things I was talking
Oh,
about.
yeah.
If you guys don't know, it's like this little amp that sticks on the back of your acoustic, and all the effects and everything actually come out of your acoustic,
Yeah.
like out of the sound hole, rather than it being like plugged in like I am, where it's coming through the speakers. It's really strange.
Cool.
It's cool for sure.
But how big is it?
It's only like that thick.
Oh.
It's not that big of a deal. And most of the time when you're playing an acoustic, you're a little... I mean, if you're playing like classical, they sit, you know, more like this, and then they're not using the picks, but they have it farther away from them, because if you're not using a microphone and you're touching it, you're going to muffle. You know, it's not going to ring out as much because you're kind of stifling the vibrations, you know?
Gotcha.
So it just kind of depends. But yeah, so right there, what you just did, and let me ask you about this. I don't care about the specific rhythm, but how many beats were you playing each chord for? Try it again and try and think. That's why I'm asking you. Because like, so you're like one of those people that you have a good ear, and it's easy to not pay attention to those things. And honestly, I mean, who really cares, right? I mean, if it sounds good, it is good. But if you were trying to communicate with a band member, or if you wanted to, say, do the recording software where you have to program, you know, a rhythm or do whatever you need, it's good to be able to put a name to things. And
Sure.
so, like, that's why I think it's good to have the cheat sheets, because it helps you put a name to things faster. And so you make those, like, pathways in your brain towards it. So go ahead and play it again, or do you want me to play it and you analyze what I do?
Oh, yeah, because I don't even remember what it.
All right, so you went like this. And actually, I should say this. There are other different ways of counting it.
Okay.
So, like, for example, if we had 100 beats per minute and we had, like, you know, this, and we're going, like, I just hit my face on that. But if you go, like, 1 and 2 and 3, you could also count something at, like, say, double that, if that's easier, where it's, like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, like, faster beats, essentially. But what you were playing was this.
Can't even.
The pulse is the thing that, like, if you were listening to it does, like, rock out to, right? So, you're doing whatever, right? So, I'll kind of give it to you this one. So, if you were to, and then I'll have you, like, try another example.
Okay.
So, with that, the two ways you could think about this would be, like, and I'm not going to count my rhythm, I'm going to count the pulse.
Okay.
Because what's happening is you're getting distracted with the differences in the strumming,
Mhm.
not so much finding the overall beat.
Gotcha.
Most of the time, if you're listening to a song, it's going to be like on the hi-hat or some cymbal on the drums.
Mhm.
But if we had this... unless it was like building up, that would be a little fast, I think, to count that feel.
Okay.
So I would probably do like 1, 2, 1. That's easier for me to feel.
Okay.
Because
yeah.
you have that sort of, you had like a more relaxing feel.
Uh-huh.
But it doesn't matter. There's times where I'll count faster. There's times I count slower. Sometimes I don't count. Sometimes, who knows?
Mhm.
I played that one show where we had a clock with a second hand, and every X amount of seconds we had to do hits. And it was like the hardest thing ever. So yeah, you can do all kinds of weird stuff. But try that again, and then like, maybe try and count it out loud actually, just to so just one, because like what I said, you don't want to be going 1, 2, and 3, you know, like counting everything necessarily. But I want you to at least acknowledge that pulse. So when we're playing songs and stuff like that, then you can keep track of where you are,
Gotcha.
right? And you don't get like, oh, where am I? What part of the song? Yeah, and that panic, right?
Yeah.
So
I was gonna say that's why I do well with words,
Mhm.
and then it above it.
I do not do well with words. I just make them up. I've done the amount of times I've forgotten. I've never really done leads. I've done a little bit, I guess, but most of the time it was backup, and I would just be like, ooh, just making up whatever. I wouldn't even say the word because I couldn't remember them.
Your cheat sheets though are so funny when you're going through and playing like a set.
Is it?
It's just not how.
Oh,
It's not how I would do it. You know, just like these are the chords in that order, and like that's it.
Yeah. It's
right.
well, again, that comes with like I was saying, with when you're looking at like a song or whatever, it's a lot of you get a lot of information. Like sometimes with the way it's written out, you get barely anything, right?
Yeah.
And you just get like say lyrics and chords.
Yeah.
No strumming, anything like that. You have to make that all up. Sometimes you almost get like too much information, and it's like more intimidating, right?
Yeah.
So you just have to find what works well for you. Like a lot of times, all I would do is just say, okay, here rhythms I don't tend to write out because I can just remember them. Because I'm like a rhythm nerd with all that. You know this, counting all that weird prog rock stuff.
It's true.
But I just need like what key it's in. If I were, which is rare, but if I'm using a capo, what fret it's on. But generally, it's just to keep track of what the order is, you know. But a lot of times that changes. The amount of times I've worked with a singer where they forget that the capo's on the 3rd fret and it's supposed to be up on like 6 for the next song, and the whole band has to adjust because they jacked it up. That happens all the time. So kind of depends on who you work with, I guess. But okay, so yeah, so let's do that again real quick, and I'll play with you and we'll count it. Okay, so it's gonna that C at 9, G, G sus 4, slash F sharp. I'll just say slash F sharp, slash G, or slash B, sorry. So let's say if we were to count that. 1, 2, 3, 4, right, 1, 2. Which one seems easier for you? I'm just curious.
Probably the slower one.
Okay. Matches the feel a little bit easier for you.
Yeah.
That makes
If
sense.
it was a faster song, I would.
Yeah, I mean,
I
it depends on the moment, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, I mean, think about, like, I guess songs like you would hear, like, say more even at, like, church, right? If there was a spot where, like, a lot of those songs drop out and then, like, kind of build up, right? There's the bridge, builds up with a tagline, and then there's the 2 choruses at the end, right? If it were building up, you might want to think...
Yeah.
So, like I said, it can change however you want.
You make that sound so great. Just
Those chords?
those chords, just
Oh,
like
yeah.
whatever. Like you could just add
You gotta play with
confidence.
confidence.
Confidence. I could sing the Sound of Music, Confidence.
There's a song called Confidence in that?
I don't know if it's called Confidence, but she sings a lot about confidence
Oh. What,
and how she has it in Sunshine.
I don't even understand what that means. She's confident and it will be sunny?
No, she was taking this new job in this place that she didn't know, and she was working herself up to
Is
go
it a
to the
different
front
mountain?
door. Yeah.
She got a new job as the yodeler on the next mountain?
Yeah. And so she
Higher
was working
elevation,
up
more
her
status.
courage.
I'm sorry.
So she's singing to herself that she has confidence, and then she can do it.
Oh, okay.
See? Music.
See? Music.
Look it up.
That's awesome. One thing I didn't mention that is not so much. Well, I mean, it could help you too. But if you're finding that you're doing the same kind of patterns over and over again, or if you just want to really make sure it's random, cut these out as flashcards.
Yes,
And then randomly flip over 2, 3, 4. If you do 3, I don't know if you remember, but like the thing I would do is double one of the chords.
Right.
Just
okay.
to make it a little bit easier. So if we were doing like, say we went C, G, G slash D, do the 3. There's nothing wrong with that, but then it starts getting a little bit more prog rock, like the.
Yeah, it seems. It's fine, but
off,
like,
but
yeah.
it's different than what the norm would be, I guess. So, okay, so you were doing like half a measure on each,
Yes.
right? Okay, so what we're gonna do is, like I said, we're gonna continue with that chord progression, but we're gonna get into the tablature side of things, because like we've been saying, the tablature is going to allow you to really get to know exactly what to play.
Okay.
Definitely should bring up again, when you see the tablature stuff, most of the time it is more intimidating than it really is. Try and recognize patterns, try and see like things that repeat, try and maybe not, like I said, a lot of times things will not be written in the best way. You know, someone was lazy or didn't know what they were doing or whatever, right? So if we were looking at this, okay, so if there were, like, let's say, what was your C at 9, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it should, minus the colon. I don't know what that would mean in a chord. So you could have, like, the chord written up there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times that's going to be a really nice clue, because if you didn't see that and you just see something like, let's see, like this. Oops. That looks a lot crazier than just looking at the chart of the C add 9 chord, right? And so, you know what, let me make this a little bit bigger for the viewers. There we go. That looks a little bit better. Okay, so...
That doesn't even look like what the shape I make.
Well, check this. So let's go through this. So the thing to remember is the skinniest string is on the top. Okay, so just a point here. So these people,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So that's the first string, and it goes, first, second, third, all the way down to the. We're not even playing on the 6th string here. It does seem a little bit backwards sometimes to think about it like that. But if you were to do like the reason they write it in this way, because like most people want this one to be on the top because it's up, right? So most people want to flip it on string instruments, but the reason you don't want to do that is if you were to see the actual, let's see, where are you?
Well, like, it makes sense if I go like this.
Yeah, and it's also like this, the fat strings on the bottom, so it kind of sinks if you want to think about it like that. But it also, like I said, I was trying to make it so you could view, maybe I have to hit this, we'll see. Yeah, if you're looking at this and you have the actual sheet music on top, as your notes get higher pitched, the two of these match. So it goes up, whether it's moving up on the neck, which again is weird, but it's, moving higher up, like towards the higher number of frets, or if it's, doing whatever. So in this case, you could literally just look at the chord on top and then get your hand ready for that and just use the tablature to tell you what string to pick.
Okay.
Okay? So let's divide this up, and this little square, by the way, does not mean anything. Okay, that's just, whatever.
Your cursor.
Yeah. So if we're playing that C add 9 shape, if I delete it, then okay, so you have kind of 2 groups of 4 for this. Okay? So when, like I said, I would look at the chord on top, C add 9, get my fingers in that shape, and you could definitely check it, right? So you can see when you hit the 5th string that we're starting on, you're hitting the 3rd fret, right? Your middle finger is 2nd fret. The 0, again, is open. So those numbers are all just telling you what fret to play. If it's a 0, it's like the little circle on the top of the chord that says play it, but no finger, right? This is kind of nice in this tablature because it does actually give you the rhythm below. So then here you would know it's going to be like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Picking wise, I think it's easiest for people to start with just downs. But when I change direction, that's where I change my picking. Okay? So let's just do the first 4 real quick. And what you're going to do is go down, down, up, up. Okay? So you pick that 3rd fret where your middle finger is down, 2nd fret down, and then I would recommend switching on that 0 up, and then the next 2 up. Because if you shift your position like down, up, don't hit that string.
Oh, you start.
So 5th fret?
So,
Or
okay.
5th string, sorry. So it's like you're looking at the guitar upside down, right?
Yeah.
So all you people at home can't see that, but whatever. This is for Jen. But yeah, it's like you're looking at it upside down, right?
Yeah.
So all you need to do is think, okay, so for the first 4 notes, what strings are we picking? So we start on what string?
So, okay. So the 5th.
Yep.
One.
And then the
Okay.
next one is... Yep.
Wait, so what do I do with the 0? Nothing?
You pick it,
Oh, but
you don't have to put your finger down. Because if you look at your C add 9 shape, right?
Yeah.
You have the 3rd fret, 2nd fret, 0, and then 3rd, and 3rd. I can't believe I just smashed my guitar like that. Do you remember that venue, El Corazon in Seattle, with that stupid support beam right in the middle of the stage? I played it, I think, 2 times, or 3 maybe, and every time I've hit my guitar on that.
Okay, that makes a little more sense.
Yeah, so it's going to be string 5, 4, 3, 4. Yep, and right now, just do downs just to get for a second, if that's easier. Okay, so what I did is 2 downs and then 2 ups. So down, down, up, up. Yep. And you're doing a pretty good thing right there, where you're keeping your pinky down. It's like, because you're trying to hit a target, like these individual strings, and the closer you are, the easier it gets, right? You don't want to be like, you can kind of see it in the close-up, but if you're strumming, your hand's kind of back here, right? And that's totally fine. But if you're trying to pick, that's a lot less control. You might see that if, like, I don't see you ever doing this, but if you got really into like gypsy jazz, that's kind of how they play to get like kind of a certain sound.
Yeah.
But otherwise, like, you wanna keep it close. So when you're playing this, I do it a little differently. I put my palm behind them where the strings are. You can do whatever feels good.
Okay.
Okay. Yep. So that's the first 4 notes. So now let's add the second 4.
Okay.
Okay. So you're gonna have 1st string, 2nd string, 3rd string, 2nd string.
Okay.
So just do that.
And then you're gonna go.
I would probably
2 down and 2 up again.
Real quick. So here's where it gets a little weird, I guess. Because if I were playing just those 4 notes, I would have picked it the way that we were just talking about.
Okay.
Right? In this case, if I were doing all 8 there, I would probably go so down, down, up, down, up, up, down, up. Okay? Try the last 4 notes and do up, up, down, up.
Okay. So starting here.
Yep, starting string 1.
So down, down, up, down.
Up, up, down, up. Complete opposite.
Okay.
100% the opposite.
That was good.
I get it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm kind of tired. I can't stop.
Well, maybe this makes more sense when you're watching, like when you've been helping out with the streams when I'm recording my album, and I can't remember what I'm picking and stuff, right? It's just like, how did I do this? What did I do? What do I want to change?
Yeah, that's true.
What
I won't
year
make
is
I won't make fun of you as much, I guess.
Oh, that's hilarious. Who cares? So yeah, so yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, good. Now here's the thing with whatever picking you decide is what you want, keep it consistent.
Okay.
Because you don't want to be teaching yourself. I mean, it's good to be able to play a lot of different things in different ways, but you don't want to have to make it harder on yourself by learning how to pick this in like 6 different ways rather than doing whatever.
Yeah.
One thing I would also recommend as like a general rule, but again, everyone's mechanics are a little bit different. But if you're having a hard time maybe reaching the notes or whatever, the thing to keep in mind is when you're on one string, it's going to be your wrist. But if you're changing strings, it's more of your arm.
Okay,
it's more like almost like a strum, or if you want to think about it, like extending your arm like a push-up. Okay? So if you're doing something like this where you have like right there, that was kind of a big reach, you could, I'll do it more like you. So
For sure. Okay.
But that's just like I said, it's a general rule, right? It's kind of similar to you're supposed to use your fingertips, but if you see people that like overanalyze that and go like this all like for everything they're doing, it looks really uncomfortable, and a lot of times it doesn't sound so good.
You have hit that guitar so many times.
People don't realize how bad I am with my guitars. I mean, it's just like every time I take one out or put it back, it gets smashed in some way.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the first day I get any guitar, there's a paint chip or
Here's a ding.
yeah. I mean, I dropped that green one I had years ago. I dropped it right off the stage the first day. I opened it up for the first time on the way there, and then it was like a stand like that. Little pro tip: do not get the two guitar like the dual guitar stand, where it looks like that, and then has one on each side. Because if you look at it, it's like a tripod, right? You got the three legs, and so if there was a guitar on the other one, there's nothing supporting it, so the weight just made it fall straight off.
Oh God.
Oops.
Oops.
Okay. So going back to this picking, the important thing when we are picking, 90% of the time, is you're going to hit the low note first. Lowest sounding, but it establishes that chord, right? Because if I did like, it was a little bit unbalanced or off balance, right? But if I go, so let's try that whole thing.
I'm lucky I was practicing.
The picking?
Yeah. But I was just doing my fingers, not a pick.
Sure, and I mean that's perfectly viable too. I think for right now we want to do the pick only because we're gonna do some stuff where, I mean you see people like put the pick in their mouth or like they have like little pick holders or something, or like a lot of times on these kind of guitars people will like stick them out here or whatever. You can definitely switch from no pick to a pick, but I think it's one thing that I would encourage you to practice, and anyone else that's doing similar things, is to have your chord progression. Once you feel comfortable with it, the goal would be to play along with either a metronome or, more interesting, a drum beat. And you would play along with that, and do it like you're playing a song. So you might start with... The hard part for me was I going to the end going back. You want to be able to have control over your dynamics. Not only is that like just good to have that control, but that makes it easier for you to listen to a song and be like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to strum.
Gotcha.
So it fills in a lot of those gaps. So let's try all 8. Don't worry about speed either.
Okay.
All
right.
Speed is the speed is the result of being accurate.
Gotcha.
It's not going to be the other way around.
Okay. And I can't remember if I'm going up or down.
Oh, picking wise?
Yeah. So
just keep downs for right now. Or don't even think about the picking.
What do you mean? That's what I'm doing.
Don't think about downs and ups.
Okay.
Do whatever you want with that hand, but just hit the strings, right?
Okay.
So I don't care if you did. I mean, this would be stupid, but if you did only up strokes.
Okay.
I mean, there are people that practice only ups because it's kind of like if you think about it, like if you're throwing a punch, right? Your upstroke is like the recoil, like bringing it back, right? So you can't. I mean, you don't see boxers just run around with with the downstroke kind of thing, right? That'd be hilarious, but yeah. So you're gonna go. Like picking wise doesn't matter, but you're gonna hit string wise 5, 4, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Oh, I'm going back.
Yeah,
okay,
think about it as like I think it's rather than thinking of 8. Yeah, think of 2 groups of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
Good. So 1, 2. Yeah, and it's almost like in my head I'm not counting everything. Like I'm not really counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. But it's like a call and response. I'm thinking about them in 2 chunks. So you have that.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we.
Okay. Yeah.
So try doing that. Let's try doing this. Let's go about. And do it for right now. I'm gonna keep playing it. I want you to join in with just do the first 4 and then pause. First 4 and pause. So we'll get used to it gradually.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Right.
So 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now as soon as you feel comfortable, add the 5th note. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's
Okay.
it. Say.
I was just going.
You're just yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So. Yeah. And you can add as much as it feels manageable. A lot of times, if you were to practice the first 4, second group of 4, you probably can piece them together pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do this, like, you don't necessarily, when you're adding those, you can do so at a faster speed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's try this a little bit. Let's go like a little faster. So I'm going to go. Okay, so do the first 4 or 5 or whatever you feel you can do at this speed. It's hard, right?
I was like, I got the first 2.
Yep. And so the only reason it's a little slower for you right now is because you are changing how you're picking it. And you weren't, like I told you not to pay attention to it. That's fine.
Okay.
But like as you're going through that, there were times when you did it as a downstroke. There were other times when you were doing it as an up. And so it's like that level of second guessing makes it harder, right?
Gotcha.
It makes sense though looking at it, right?
Yes.
So like I was saying, if we were to change these notes, let's say we went to...
Honestly, the thing that was throwing me off the most was the 0.
Sure. That happens to a lot of people.
Because I was like, there's only 3. Why am I counting to 4? But the 0 is actually the one. It's just like to get it out of my brain that it's just where your finger is, you know? So
yeah, it sounds like 0 meaning like nothing, right?
Yes.
All right, so if we were to look at the second measure, what chord are we playing?
G.
Yep. Right? You can just pretty much look at that low note.
Yeah.
And then if you were to look at which type of G, it would be the one that you play more with your ring finger there, right? Because you've got those on there. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
And you can see, like, if we have this change, it's the same pattern for the most part.
Yeah.
It's just the only difference is instead of having to start it. So. Try it with the G chord.
Okay. Going down, down, up, down. Okay. I was just going straight down. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, is that how I was supposed to?
Yeah, and like I said, just you want to focus on, doesn't matter the speed, but you want to focus on keeping it consistent. A lot of times with this, you might notice inconsistencies with your volume level, you know, so you might pick like really aggressively and have like that sort of thing. If it helps you, you don't have to, like, if this ends up being something that is like too much to add, don't worry about it. But you could add an accent, which just means you either hit it harder or it stands out, right? At the beginning of each of those 4, and that could maybe help you lock in with the timing. So like
Okay, yeah, that's...
whatever works, right?
Okay.
So we were doing a lot with that pattern that had the tie in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we were to take, let's do... I'm going to write out a pattern. For right now, do the E minor 7 chord for me. Try frets do you want to be on though?
Oh. Got it.
Yep. So with that, do the down, down, up, up, down, up. Do you remember the pattern we were doing? So it was like these ones were tied, and then
I'm strumming. I'm not picking.
yeah,
Okay.
just strum it. So like they'll be like. Yep. So what happens in most songs is that right there, that looks a lot crazier than that pattern you were just doing. Because if you actually were to write out what this is so bad. This would be that strumming pattern, and this is why you wouldn't see this kind of stuff, hopefully, written this way, right? Because then we would have, oops, ooh, ah.
20. A lot of things.
How busy is that? That looks awful, right? And then especially because you'd be tying all of like. Right? I wouldn't want to look at that.
Wouldn't even know how to read that.
Well, I mean, you would,
Like,
but it's so
yeah.
busy that it's like, oh man, I can't, like, you can't really, it's not easy. And
Yeah.
music should be written in a way that makes it easy for you, the performer. Okay?
Mhm.
So that rhythm you were just doing, most of the time when, like I said, what I would encourage you to practice is doing it with like some sort of consistent beat, like a drum beat. And literally you could just go on YouTube and say, like, I would say probably like 75 to 140 tends to be a pretty safe bet.
Okay.
So you could do like 90 BPM, beats per minute, rock drum beat.
Okay.
Or for just a heads up, if anyone is like, I know Eli likes country and stuff, but like if anyone is looking for a country drum beat, they can be a little like real over the top cheesy. So if you're looking for that, I would just go for more of a rock beat. But so most of the time, the picking pattern is going to be very similar to the strumming pattern.
Okay.
So if we were to do this right here, we have the E minor 7, but so let's try that one. So it's
Picking.
1, 2, and 4. Down. I mean, if you want to think about down, down, up, whatever, it's not going to match the strumming exactly, but let's try the first 4 notes, just because that's a little weird timing wise. So you're going to have.
Nope.
Close. Yep. So 6th string, 4th string, 3rd string, and then the 1st. So.
Okay.
Yeah, good. So. Yep, and then just
And then-
end it off with 2 and then 3.
Oh, okay.
So you just have. Yeah.
Up or down?
I would do ups for those. So
Oh,
down, 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 up, down. Pretty much
Is
every
it-
time I'm going in one direction, I like to just keep it that way.
Yeah. I mean, it makes more sense if you're gonna work your way up and then you're gonna.
Yeah, there are times when you might not want that. Like sometimes, even if it's not like the best way of picking, it's easier because you can just keep something consistent. You know, if I had like a, something like that, I could go down, down. You know, I could do like down. I can pick that really efficiently, but I could also go. That's a lot harder, but you know, you can do it in a bunch of different ways. So yeah, let's try this again. So you're gonna have. I just did the E minor there instead of E minor 7, whatever. Now let's change that to the C add 9. So what's gonna be different?
Oh, I'll start with this one. This second one is no the 5th string. Sorry.
Yeah, you're getting close.
The 5th string, right? So then it would go. No.
So
That sounds right.
You would have, so like if we're looking at this, right?
Uh-huh.
E minor 7, your low note would be there,
Uh-huh.
right? So with your new one, our low note would just be there. That's
And then everything else is the same?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, you could move things around. Like, let's say, hypothetically, like, you know how we skip a string right here, right? So with the first one, we skipped over the 5th string
Mm-hmm.
to get to the 4th. You could change that if you wanted. And the other thing, too, I mean, as long as you establish the chord, hit the low note, you should be pretty good, you know,
Okay.
for the rest of it, right? Because, like, even if you were, like, the first time you tried that, instead of hitting the note that I have selected right here, right, you picked the 5th string instead. It still sounds good.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the kind of thing where you want to keep it going, because you... Right? You just kind of go through it. So try that C at 9 real quick, and then we're going to make you switch.
So hit this,
Yeah.
and then you can.
Yeah. So, the way I wrote it there is you have the 3rd fret on string 5, 2nd fret on the 4th string, and then the 0 again, and the same ending.
What, I can't remember what it was again.
The rhythm?
Yeah.
That's the rhythm. I'm purposely not picking it, just so it is down, up, or 1, 2, and 4.
Okay. Yeah. So. Okay. That makes a little bit more sense now.
Mhm.
Okay. So. I don't remember.
What were you having a hard
Okay.
time remembering?
So
Are you
down.
Rhythm, or... Are you...
I'm just confused because it's a new chord now.
Oh, yeah, so it's the exact same thing.
So,
So, I mean,
no,
like I said,
I
you
know.
don't have to think about everything at once, and that's the tendency that everyone has. It's like,
Yeah.
I need to play this, so I have to do everything. Just just think about it as, like, you know, whatever's... I think it's easier almost to do the whole thing sometimes, because then you can get used to how it repeats. Because if you're just practicing going... You might do that, right? You could just, if you want to get used to up, up, up. Stupid guitar. Yeah. Yeah. That's good though. So try to, yeah, so let's switch. So maybe play each, like right here it's written one time each.
Okay.
It's going to be much easier to do 2 times each, right? So
Yeah.
you could do like... Okay. Give it a go. Now go to do it with a G. Yeah. And then maybe the slash F sharp to end it off. Mm-hmm. So you stopped overthinking it, and it's getting a hell of a lot better.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
So right there, yeah, that's a great thing to practice. And like I said, you're going to want to be able to go from the mellow picking to a strumming pattern. So if you went... Like I said, just think about it like a song. Let's set up that one more time. You know, you can do it probably 4 times, whatever. Same thing.
Yeah.
And then go back. The other thing is, it doesn't have to necessarily be like a... Most of the time, people don't do like picking completely by itself and then strumming. There's variations in there, and you can kind of like if I were transitioning from picking to strumming, I probably wouldn't do this. Here's start strumming right away.
Mhm.
Most of the time, I would probably go like a little bit of a build up. because it is good to be able to get the control to jump around. So let's try this. We're gonna do the same picking pattern, okay? But you're gonna play, instead of doing the 0 at the beginning, you're gonna strum the entire chord. So you're gonna go. Kind of a little medium idea, right? Kinda, I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's in between the two. Just play it.
Just do it. Right? Okay. Am I doing E minor? Doesn't matter.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want, but yeah, that's what's written.
Okay.
Yeah, makes sense?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna we're kind of getting close to the end, so I'm gonna take a real quick. I want to show you a couple other symbols that you might see in tablature. There's a lot of them.
Okay.
There is an article on my website as well that has all of the the cheat sheet that tells you. If you ever have an official songbook or something like that, at the end of it, it'll have like a legend explaining what all these different symbols are. We're not going to have too many to have to worry about at this point, but just in case you do see some, okay? So if we had I'm just going to put a couple notes in here. Let's say we had 5 and 8. Okay. So that thing we were talking about before is you can have something like this where it ties it, right? If you were to do an X and you see it on there, that means you're playing the string but you're muting it. So when you see the X in a chord chart, it means skip it, right? When you see the X here, this, let me type out a real common thing. You would see something like here. So if we were looking at this, oops, I guess I have to actually put it in there and then mute it. Okay, so if you saw something like this, right? And actually, I'm making it crazy, right? Just for the sake of doing it. So here, we have a chord with an X in it, then 2 completely muted, another one, 2 muted, 1 more, and then a mute. So when we're doing, you get it?
Gotcha.
Isn't that the beginning of a Taylor Swift song? Trouble, yeah, for sure. Right, that one? Anyway, so the X's, yeah, you can get those muted. You could have. If you have something in parentheses, it's what's called a ghost note. Normally, it's actually a note with a slash through it. It just means it's very quick. So it'd be like if you were playing the D chord, but instead of just playing it, you went something real quick, just a little bit of flavor. You've got the accent. So if you have this symbol, and sometimes you'll actually see it pointing the other direction. But if you have that on top, that's the accent to pick it harder.
There.
If you have, you could also have something kind of like that. It just depends. Harmonics. Though we'll talk more about that. But essentially, when you're playing, you see me do these a lot with the Michael Hedges percussive acoustic stuff.
Okay.
But when you if you were to go on the 12th fret and just barely, literally right above the metal, not where you would normally play it, but right the double dot, right?
Okay.
Yeah. 10, 11, 12. No, I'm just kidding. But right there, if you were to barely touch it, you can, any of the notes, on the 12th fret, for example, would be, or 7, those kind of things, right? You can get some cool stuff. That's a harmonic. Those are what are called natural harmonics. But when you hear a note, you actually click. Hand on the foot switch. But if I were to play like this, you're hearing a combination of a bunch of frequencies working together to create that note, right?
Got it.
The other thing I just want to bring up are just a couple of things. If you see that little squiggle, that's a vibrato. Kind of bending it back and forth. If you were to see, we'll do more of these later, but a arrow pointing up, that's a bend. So that we don't really use those too much on the acoustic, so I wouldn't worry about that. But there's two, well, I guess 3 others I just want to bring up real quick. So if you have this, right, where it's connecting them, but they're 2 different notes, you're going to play that legato. Legato is a fancy word for smooth, essentially. And so what that means is instead of going 5 and 8, you're going to hammer it on. Sometimes you'll see a little, it'll be like a little H. And that means you're going to play the note and then not pick the next one, but you put your finger down. So if you were playing like, the D chord, you might hammer that on, right? Right, that where you're not actually picking it, right? If you see that with like the opposite, where say it was going 8 to 5 with one of those, oops, that's what's called a pull off. So that's going from a higher note and kind of releasing it, right? Going lower. So you could have, back and forth kind of thing. But most of the time, what you'll see in this case would be like, kind of messing around with the chord.
I always wondered how they did that.
Well, here, I'll show you the chart real quick, just to kind of give you a better understanding of that. The other these other things like trill is just going back and forth really quick, between 2 notes. Not super important. Palm muting is important. So if you see PM, that's when your palm is barely touched, and we're going to go over all these again. I just want to kind of give you an overview.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where your palm is touching the strings actually, and it gives you that muted sound. So you're still hearing the note. It's not just a mute, but.
Gotcha.
And this thing, that's just huge, especially in rock when you have like a. Right. And then, the only other thing I was going to say is if you see a diagonal line in between notes, so, slapping. We didn't want slapping. We are not playing bass, like that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a slide. So you play it, and just kind of move in the direction. Again, not picking.
Oh, okay.
Okay? So anyway, those are some of the symbols you'll see. So, and at the bottom, if you're looking up a song, it should give you a little like answer key at the bottom of it. I can also give you, you know my website. But let me show you this. This is going to look really intimidating.
Yeah.
So here's what happens. When you are playing anything, it's all based on the scale. And then the chords are all based on whatever scale. Your key, everything is built off of a scale. Okay? So if you look at all of the notes on one of these charts, so let's just say we're only going to look at this first one. That's the notes in our key. So any of them are fair game, but look at the dark notes. What shape is that first one?
It's a G.
Yeah. So you're playing that G chord with any variation that you want. So like, I'll give you an example. I had a student come in, and I don't remember the name of the song. I think it was by the Lumineers, or whatever, the Ho Hey Ho people.
Mm-hmm.
Their stuff is pretty minimal. It's not like, and so at the beginning of the song, he's like, dude, what the hell's going on here? Because it was like, G6 9, G add 9, G sus, G whatever. All the guy was doing is like play the G chord, and what I want you to do is let's just do a strumming pattern, whatever, and take your first finger and move it to different spots. So like you could have that G going. Let me give you an example. G is next chord on there is C add 9, right? Yeah. So I could go. So you can add any note you want, or you could take any note away. So if you like this D sus 4, this is the one that people always noodle around on. Play the D. The regular D chord, Yeah, good. Then you can add your pinky to make it a sus4, or take your middle finger off and make it a D sus2. So you could think of free falling.
Okay.
That's it.
Huh. Interesting.
But you see how then you can add some colors. So we'll talk more about these for sure. But essentially, this is like the dark notes of this chord. The rest of the notes are just the ones that you can alter or make what you want. So, how's that all feeling?
Yeah.
Making more sense?
Yeah.
You can definitely, pick some songs. I'm not quite sure what we can do on here with copyright, but I would encourage, find some songs and I can help you get a good version of it. But take those and get more used to, like I said, the picking, bringing up the dynamics, because it's just gonna connect your brain to your fingies a little bit better.
All right. Sounds good.
No questions?
No.
All
I'll
right.
have questions later.
Yeah,
I
for
don't
sure.
have any right now.
Yeah, I gotcha. I
All
think
right.
it's time for lunch anyway.
For sure.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. Again, there is that donation thing, ASAN donations. Anyone that does that will get free lessons. Just show me the proof. And, we'll get you hooked up. Let me know if you guys do have questions. We're in the process of finishing up new websites and stuff, and then we'll be able to have accounts for you guys where you can get access to all the material and stuff a lot better. So a lot of improvements coming. Yeah,
Yeah, that's good.
all righty, guys. Have a good rest of your day.
Bye,
and
guys.
Practice hard.
Yeah.